Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunniditam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. This is a place where Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura stayed at his bhajan, and down the street a little further is his samadhi, and the great association of devotees, Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura met Jagannāth, his spiritual master, who he had seen in a kirtan glorifying Lord Nityananda. And Sarvabhauma, the topmost of all Vaishnavas, was his spiritual master, who also revered Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura. And then we have the Gaur-Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, who took shelter under Bhaktivinoda, and Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who begged for shelter under Gaur-Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, and Śrīla Prabhupāda, who had taken initiation from Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So all of these great Vaishnavas had congregated together and relished the chanting of the holy name. And in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Kapila Dev says, Satam prasangam amavirya samvido bhavanti hrit karna rasayana kata taj joshanad ashwa pavargavartmini shraddha bhaktir anukramishvati, that shadhir bhaktir rati. There's a progression of devotional service in the life of a devotee who associates with advanced devotees. Satam. Satam means those who are dedicated to the service of the Lord, no ulterior motive, pure devotees. And in the assembly of pure devotees, there's hearing and chanting, Shravanam Kirtanam. That is a sound vibration that's not from this world. The Srimad Bhagavatam, Shukadeva describes in the 5th chapter of the Bhagavatam, Tadvag Visargo Janataga Viplavo, describing the Bhagavatam. Tadvag Visargo Janataga Viplavo. Viplava means there's a way that in the material world we're up a creek, not just without a paddle, but without a boat. We're drowning here. And the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is not from this creation, is from a different creation. It comes from the spiritual world. It reverses our trajectory in life and takes us from absorption in the variety of the material world, and it flips us over into the vision of the spiritual world. Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Param Sada Pasanti Suryaho Divava Chakshara Tatam Tad Vipraso Vipanyavo Jagvrvansaha Sminda Te Vishnuya Paramam Param Natad Basayate Suryo Na Shashanko Na Pavaka Yadgatvana Nirvartante Tadama Paramamama. Krishna says, certifiably, the material world is a place of change, and it's wispy and insubstantial, but there is a substantial place, my supreme abode. And by hearing the vibration of the pure devotees who are singing the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra with love from the core of their hearts, then even ruffians and scoundrels and hooligans and hoodlums, dacoits, vagabonds, burglars, dog eaters, Kirata, Hunanda, Pulinda, Pulukshasha, Virashumba, Yavana, Kasadaya. The Bhagavatam, there's power that comes through those vibrations. The power of Lord Vishnu, it's coming through the pure devotees when they sing and they talk together about Krishna. And if one can be in that assembly, even if one is a ruffian or a hoodlum or a dacoit or a thief or a nonsense or a fool or a ne'er-well, then the heart starts to change and one reverses course in life and makes a decision that I want to be always in the association of devotees. Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura writes in a bhajan, he says that for my life, I want to be the dog of a Vaishnava. You tie me up or just leave me out in the backyard on the porch and I'll protect it. You pure Vaishnavas, you stay in here and chant. I'll stand as the dog outside. And when you're done eating, you throw some food, some remnants over the edge, and I'll just take that. Otherwise, I'll sleep outside. When people come to disturb your bhajan, then I'll scare them away. And Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura wrote thousands of songs. Inconceivably, every song is a window to the spiritual world, and it instantly combusts when one sings it. Some songs you think, meh, people write songs and they think, well, nice try, but it doesn't have that spark. Some famous musicians who had just the right combination, the right time in history from the side of the Mayic world, they just clicked. And many others would try to imitate them and everyone would say, oh yeah, that's imitation. Or they'd start their own unique thing and everyone, as I say, they should be famous, but they're not. But Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura, because he's from the spiritual world and from his heart, he's singing with pure love for Krishna. Every one of his songs is not only perfectly aligned, that tells about the path of devotional service, but it also has a charm to it that carries away the mind and heart. When I've gone around and done seminars for advocating book distribution, training book distribution, we sing numerous Bhaktivinoda bhajans during it over 3 days. And I ask people afterwards how the seminar went, where they volunteer that information. They tell me, yeah, it was the bhajans that got me. So this is the medium through which we can enter the spiritual world, is to find the great souls. Samadhi navesha teta saike, twatpada petena, mahatkritena, kurvanti govatsa padam bhavabdim. Bhagavatam says, if you find a mahat who's spiritually famous person, find somebody who's known throughout the three worlds as an exalted pure devotee, and then you try to align with them. Align your life with them. Then Bhagavatam says, Twatpada potena mahatkritena, the mahat, the great souls. They're pretty obvious. You can look through the Bhagavatam and see who were the famous great souls, like Prahlad Maharaj. Anybody else? Huh? Parikshit Maharaj. Just name 5 more off the top of your head. Narada Muni, Shukadeva Goswami, Kunti Devi, Bali Maharaj. They're all famous for their pure devotional service. So Bhagavatam says, if you follow their path, which they leave behind them, then you're able to cross over the material world by their mercy. And it's an interesting way that you're able to cross over, that the ocean of the material world is practically impassable. As Ram quoted this morning, Daiviyesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya. It's impossible to get across this ocean. But if you align with a great soul, I'm with him. I follow that. I don't care what everybody else says. That's what I'm following. That's who I'm following. Then Mahat Kritena Kurvantiko Vatsa Padam Bhavabdim. Then the material world shrinks. And although it was an ocean, and although the Acharya is known to have left behind a boat, which is the process to follow, when you approach the boat and said, I'm getting in the boat, then the ocean shrinks. And you can just step over the ocean because it's now contained within a tiny indentation on the earth, size of the footprint of a calf. You can step over it. So Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura had this vision that everyone in the world could align with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. And if one takes... Hare Krishna. Prabhupada writes, if one takes Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the universal guru and Lord Jagannāth as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then one's path in life is complete. So Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura saw this opportunity, and he also saw that people around the world, everywhere, they're attracted to music and song. The most famous people and leaders of ideological movements in the world, even de facto, are musicians and poets. In the 1960s, it was Peter, Paul and Mary, and Joan Baez and Bob Dylan, and others like that, who would sing about their ideology, and people would listen to the music, and even when they didn't intend to sing about something, people would say, oh yeah, I know what that means. And they would become enlivened by it. And so the Vaishnavas come to town singing a song that resonates with the desire for us to go back home, back to Godhead, and through their songs and lyrics, which are perfect because they're informed by Krishna within the heart of the Vaishnav, and the haunting tunes that they compose, they urge us to wake up, just like the song Jeev Jago. When we heard it the second time in that melancholy tune that Prabhupada sings, it brings a sense of longing for a time when I can become free from the lower modes of nature and follow along with the Vaishnavas. Even if it's as their dog, I'll just go with you guys. And so Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura stayed on this island from his home down the street. On the balcony, he envisioned every morning a cloud of dust coming down the road. And through revelation, he discovered that it was Lord Nrsingadev coming in from Nrsiṅgapali for Mangalartik. And where was he going? To the Yogapit, which at that time was not established. It had been placed somewhere else, errantly, whimsically. And Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura, through science and through revelation and through inspiration of the Vaishnavas, and also seeing Lord Nrsingadev going there every day for Mangalartik, discovered Yogapit, the place of appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and confirmed by his spiritual master, Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, Vaishnava Sarvabhauma, who is known as the greatest Vaishnav. He was in a basket because he was invalid, and when he went there to that place, he got up and danced. So when we go down the road to Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura's house, we can present ourselves to Bhaktivinoda. Prabhupada writes that it is only by the mercy of Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura that we are here. And once, when Prabhupada was in Mayapur and we were all here, we had every morning a kirtan outside the Chandrodaya Mandir together. You can see there's some videos of this. We'd gather outside. Prabhupada walked only with a few devotees, and there weren't many trails established except for the rice fields, which had elevated places. And as the sun was coming up, you could see Prabhupada walking because the landscape was open, no obstruction, and you could see the silhouettes of Prabhupada with a few devotees, a few sannyasis and senior devotees just on his morning walk. And when we were having kirtan before Prabhupada would come back to greet the deities, it was an uproarious kirtan. And one morning we saw Prabhupada stop about 100 yards from the kirtan, and he was saying something to his devotees who were following him on the walk. And then he entered the temple. And he was marveling, at that time as all Westerners. He marveled at the presence of the Westerners with their enthusiastic kirtan. And then we heard the lecture later because it was recorded. It was being recorded on his morning walk. And he said, the devotee said, Prabhupada, it is your mercy that brought them here. And he said, no, it is the mercy of Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura. He has brought them here. And so Prabhupada had this regard for Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura as the great visionary to spread Lord Chaitanya's movement all over the world. And you can hear in all the songs the tattva. In the last song in the Sharanagati, he writes about the power of the holy name. And he describes how the holy name has bewildered him with an overwhelming love for Krishna. And he describes how his body is transforming as he's chanting. He's turned pale, and perspiration is coming from his body. And he feels so overwhelmed, he says, that he can't understand anything except for he's being transformed by the power of the sound of the holy name. And then he goes on to say that the holy name takes him by the hand and introduces him in Goloka Vrindavan to his love dalliance, his relationship with Krishna. Interesting, because Krishna and his holy name are non-different, and Rupa Goswami says, Vacham Vachakam Ityudeti Bhavato Tvanta Vibhavo. And that is that the Vacham and the Vachakam, the name and the named, everyone says they're the same, but he says, no, they're not. He said, Dvayam. There's a distinction between the name and the named. He said, because the named Krishna is there in the spiritual world, we may have left Krishna. We have may forsaken Krishna. Bhayam dvitya binibesha tasyad ishad ape tasya viparyo smriti. Somehow we've turned our face away from Krishna. He said, but the holy name comes and then turns us back around again. By force, he pursues us. You may go try to hide out in the subways of New York, but then the holy name's there. And people, especially in the 70s, we had gone to every airport in America, so people felt like they were surrounded. Because air travel wasn't complete without running into a bunch of Bhagavad Gita wielding devotees at every gate they came to. And the holy name expands himself all over the universe. Nam vina kichu nahi ko aro choda bhuvanamaje. There's nothing to be had except the holy name in the 14 worlds. Everyone's trying to escape, but he'll grab us and pull us by the hand back home, back to Godhead. Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura in that poem confirms that is the only sadhana necessary for going back to Goloka Vrindavan and being introduced to Krishna in our eternal relationship with him, the perfection of chanting the holy name. So Prabhupada took shelter of Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura. Obviously, Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had seen the vision of Bhaktivinoda and made it practical so that it was codified in such a way that it could be spread. And he did it all over India, and then he wanted to go all over America and the rest of the world. And Śrīla Prabhupada did that under the auspices of Bhaktivinoda Thakura's vision to bring Lord Chaitanya to every doorstep. He sent books out about Lord Chaitanya Mahāprabhu to Emerson, Thoreau, McGill University, and everywhere in the world. So we come here as ambassadors of goodwill to become blessed by Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura. We can take our deepest aspirations to him, and he'll understand and appreciate that all of us here, we're the descendants of the great line of Bhagavats who came together to chant Krishna's name in bhajan, and then envisions a way that everybody in the world would be able to take this. So all of you are coming here as representatives of Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura. Practically, he's bringing you by the hand to this place, as you can't help yourselves. I can see it. You can't help but want to be deeper and deeper in devotional service. Right? I can feel it. Devavrata Prabhu was saying to me as we were walking to the boat, he said, there's something special about this yatra. It feels like it's ready to, like a spiritual bomb ready to go off. He didn't say that, but I just added the bomb part. That's Bhaktivinoda Thakura's impetus. It carries on. When somebody chants the pure holy name somewhere, it's more powerful than a nuclear reaction. The reaction of splitting an atom, if that's what nuclear reaction is that the difference between a nuclear bomb and an atom bomb? Physicists? Nobody got their PhD in atom splitting? What? They're the same thing? There's a reaction from a tiny little atom that, oh, there's our physicist. He's remaining silent like a sage. So what happens when you split an atom? It releases a lot of energy. Spoken as a Stanford graduate and PhD in physics, it releases a lot of energy. And what releases a lot of energy is when we have an intention to chant the pure holy name, and we get that through the vibration that carries on, satam prasangamama virya samvida, from those very kirtans that Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura had with his spiritual master and with the great Gorkishore Das Babaji Maharaj. And when Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur saw all that and imbibed it, he passed it on. It's the same thing. It comes in a capsule. And one takes that, then one's body and mind are infused. So this is an opportunity to pray to carry on the work of Lord Nityananda, whom Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura mentioned had opened a marketplace. And on that note, I'm calling up Shastra Prada to sing for us the song that he's so famous for around the world. Come on up, or wherever you want to be. If you give me the translation, well, he's getting ready. I'm going to read the translation. Kodanitai, Kodanitai. Page number? How are we going to give him facility? Who's going to facilitate his sitting and... Are you playing the harmonium? Okay, give us the tune. I'm singing news of the greatest happiness. At the place known as Surabhikunj in Sri Navadvip, the marketplace of the holy name has now been opened, and Lord Nityananda himself is the proprietor. Such wonderful things are going on in that blissful marketplace. Sri Nityananda Prabhu is selling the pure holy name wholesale merely for the price of one's faith. Seeing the assembly of devotees eagerly waiting to purchase the name, Lord Nityananda first examines each of them to test their qualification. Then he sells them the name by bargaining for his price accordingly. Page 80, number 4. Oh, my dear friends, if you really want to buy this pure holy name, then just come along with me, for I am now going to meet with this Nityananda Mahajan. Thus you will finally be able to acquire the pure holy name. I will also take my due commission, and in this way all three of us will fulfill our desires. It's a precursor to Amway. Sri Nityananda Prabhu is so extraordinarily merciful, accepting only one's faith in the holy name, he bestows the topmost divine bliss. When Nitai sees a tear welling in someone's eye upon chanting the name of Gora, he instantly gives his support to that person. Indeed, he bestows all divine opulence. I'm going to read it again. I can't help it. You ready? When Nitai sees a tear welling in someone's eye upon chanting the name of Gora, he instantly gives his support to that person. Indeed, he bestows all divine opulences. He gives that person genuine realization of the pure teachings of Sri Krishna as found in the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. While displaying all this inconceivable mercy, he pays no attention to anyone's caste, material wealth, mundane knowledge, or physical ability. Now, dear friends, please reject all of Maya's entangling snares. If you are a householder, then just remain at your home. If you are renounced, then just live in the forest. Either way, nothing more will trouble you. We no longer need to fear the terrible age of quarrel, for the most merciful Lord Nityananda gives the holy name to anyone and everyone, even to the lowest among men. Bhaktivinoda loudly calls out and proclaims to all, other than the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, there is no shelter. We got to go, because the darshan is going to close at 12. So you got to go out this door, straight out the gate, take a sharp left, rope swing over the alligator pit, cross the barbed wire. No, just go straight and take a sharp left, and kind of hurry, because we want to get there in time for you to read your goals to Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura before the doors close. What time do they close? Better if we go now and before the doors closed, yeah. Panchakalptaruscha kripasindhabheva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Shri Shri Gauranitai ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Manan Mohan ki jai, Shri Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura ki jai.